There's a myth going round town that when you get older you just sit down and start rocking, just rocking. In a way that's true, if you know what I mean. Just take a look at the senior scene. Well, it's rocking.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely. So I know a couple people here. Faces, names not so much, but for y'all who don't know me, I'm Ivan Sarabia. I'm the Orange County Veteran Service Officer. I work for the county. A lot of people think I work for the VA. I don't work for the VA. I'm employed by the county and accredited by the state. So my main responsibility is to help veterans and family members kind of navigate the VA process, and that includes the benefit administration and the hospital administration. So my main office is in Hillsborough, but I do meet veterans here at the Passmore Center and at Southern Services. And if veterans have difficulty kind of getting around, there's also a spot at Skills, which is on Franklin Street. So pretty much wherever a veteran needs to meet me, I can meet them. I was in the military for 4 years. I was stationed in Fort Campbell, Kentucky with the 101st Airborne, deployed to Afghanistan in 2010, 2011. Got out, kind of worked for a while, went to school, got my master's degree in social work, and that's where I'm at now. So I'm gonna do a little brief overview of the VA. A lot of people don't realize there's actually 3 administrations in part of the VA. The most common thing I run into when veterans come is, hey, I spoke to the VA. Okay, which VA did you speak to? So the main one they probably speak to is the Veteran Benefits Administration, and let me know if I'm in the way, I can move. And then the other one that they always speak to is the Veteran Health Administration. So I always tell veterans, when you update, if you move your address, change your phone number, make sure you let each one of these administrations know. Just it'll be a lot easier, save you some headaches. So I'm going to break it down kind of by administration and then the actual benefits for each administration. So the VBA manages a lot of programs. I would say that's the majority of programs that veterans kind of get into. It's a voc rehab, educational programs, GI Bill, post 9/11 bill, forever GI Bill, home loans, service-connected, pension, and adapted housing. So voc rehab is for veterans who have a disability and no longer to find employment. They have to go back to school, so the VA will actually pay for them to go back to school. They'll get a monthly stipend, as well as they'll cover their books and supplies. So that's kind of a really great program. I actually partook in voc rehab. That's how I got my master's degree paid for. The GI Bill, a lot of the vets that I normally deal here with are a lot of elderly veterans, so they've already kind of taken that. But I do meet with some younger vets, so I always encourage them, please take advantage of your GI Bill. You put in your time, it's a great program. The new one, the Forever GI Bill, is amazing. And actually, if a veteran doesn't use it, they can pass it on to their dependents, which is great because there used to be a 10-year limit. But they just recently changed it. There is no limit anymore, a Forever GI Bill. So if a veteran served after 2013, they can take that benefit and pass it to their dependents now, which is great. Pension, which is a lot of folks, a lot of elderly veterans I meet with, they're always the ones interested in pension and service connection. And I'll break those down more. And then housing grant. So not only does the VBA give you a housing grant, the VHA will actually give you assistance in getting like wheelchair access, tubs, anything that makes your life easier for the veteran. You can go through the VBA or the VHA. So a little bit about the VHA. They provide healthcare facilities for veterans and in some cases dependents. So if a veteran's 100% service connected, their dependents actually qualify for healthcare as well. The first thing I always tell veterans when they come to meet me is, have you applied for benefits through the VA hospital? Because a lot of people don't. And they have their own private insurance, which is fine. You can use both. I take all my healthcare at the VA, but I meet plenty of veterans who use private healthcare and VA. Especially a lot of veterans, I've let them know, you can get free hearing aids. Free hearing aids. If you're eligible for VA healthcare, you can get free hearing aids, and that's a couple grand, you don't have to spend. That could be your only communication with the VA, is just to get your hearing aids. You meet with your doctor once a year, you're set. The next one is a National Cemetery Administration. Again, they handle burial benefits for veterans as well as any and their survivor dependents. Burial allowance, headstones, government medallions. One of the benefits I really want to focus on here that really helps veterans who are elderly is the home health aid program. So the VA provides 20 hours of assistance free to family members. They get 20 hours, they get to decide what days of the week they want, and it kind of helps with, you know, activities of activities of daily living. So they do have to work with a social worker, a doctor has to put them in a council. But once that in, they have the VA has a set group of contractors that are pre-approved to work with veterans and their family members, and they'll get the ball rolling on that. But that's a great program. That's I tell veterans, even if you don't want to get, you know, your hearing's fine, you don't want to get hearing aids, you should at least get involved because someday you're going to need that. 20 hours free of home health aid is amazing. Another program is the Caregiver Support Program. So that, again, that's also the Veteran Health Administration. So that applies to all veterans. I will say post 9/11 veterans, there's a little bit more benefits to them. The VA actually pays for them to get the caregiver to get respite care, as well as they actually do a little bit more. They're expanding the programs, so they don't want to cover it. Just this year, they're trying to increase more access to all veterans, not just post 9/11 veterans. But these are the kind of services that they can get. Peer support, mental health counseling, programs to focus on the caregiver's self-care. So stuff like that, that's great. And they have a great setup at the VA. One thing I forgot to mention, I used to work at the VA hospital in Chicago. I was a patient advocate there. So that's why I'm kind of familiar with like the healthcare side of the VA. So service-connected disability, there's three things that the VA needs in order to grant service connection. First thing you need is a disability. Without disability, the VA is not going to say, we can't compensate you because you're not disabled. So how can we pay you money if you don't have a diagnosis? The other one is an in-service event or injury. So whether as long as an injury or event happened while you were in service, you could have been off base, you could have been out with your friends. If you were active duty and something happened, the military was responsible for that incident. As long as it wasn't anything willful misconduct. You know, if you were out there driving crazy, then the VA will deny it. And then the third thing you need to get service connected is a nexus, a medical nexus. So when you get out, you need to be, there needs to be a condition and that you're getting treatment for that condition. So you can say, hey, I got a bad back, you injured in the military and basic and happened 20 years ago and you never saw another doctor again. The VA will deny it and say, there's no medical history of you receiving any kind of benefits. Right, saying, or any type of complaints. They're going to say, obviously it wasn't an issue, we're not going to compensate you for it. So service connection rates from 0% to 100%. As long as you're 0%, you're considered service-connected veteran. And that 0% gets you into the VA hospital. So that's where this service connection comes into play. Once you get 30% though, for each dependent you have, the award goes up, that additional amount.
I don't really, how can you be 0%?
Yes, great question. Great question. Yes, no, that's a great question. So there's some disabilities where the VA says, yes, you're service connected, but you're not able to get compensated for it. Hearing is a big one, where veterans are 0% service connected, but they don't reach that threshold to receive monetary compensation for it.
Okay.
So they're saying, yes, it is service connected, but we're not going to pay you because your hearing's not that bad.
Okay.
So I would say that's the one where you see a lot of veterans who are at 0% compensated.
Got it.
Yeah, so you are service connected, it's just at 0%. And then that's a great question, I'm glad you said that, because some disabilities, there's a max. I know with like ringing in the ear tinnitus, it's 10%. There's no 100% service connection for tinnitus. You're 10%, that's it.
Okay.
Back issues, any kind of limbs missing, that kind of the percentage go up. Mental health is another big one. You have to meet certain criteria before they will grant you a higher percentage. But there's some, you meet that threshold, you automatically go from 0 to 50%. So hearing is very difficult. Tinnitus, usually those are the ones I see, 0 and 10%.
So the important thing is to get service connected, and then like if it changes,
yes.
in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I meet with plenty of veterans who got service connected maybe 10 years ago, and say, hey, things have gotten worse.
Yeah.
And then at that point, they would come with me, and then we would file for what's called an increase. Because that happens, you know, you get service connected when you get out, and you know, things are bad, but obviously as you age, things get more difficult. So yeah, absolutely. Especially with like mental health issues, that can fluctuate. So and the VA usually does a review, but it's always better if a veteran feels like their service connection's gotten worse, like set up an appointment, let's get them an increase.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also related to service connection. We call it DIC, it's a lot easier than dependency indemnity compensation. So it's a monetary benefit paid to veterans who are service connected. A lot of this happens with veterans from Vietnam who were service connected for Agent Orange. Agent Orange is one of those presumptive conditions where the VA admits, I want to say there are up to like 10 different diseases that are related to Agent Orange. Heart issues is usually the first one that a lot of veterans suffer, Parkinson's. So if a veteran passes away due to a heart condition, their spouse is entitled to DIC. As long as they were service connected for that injury and then pass away of that injury, they can get DIC. Pension, so that's a big one. The thing with pension is it's income based. DIC doesn't matter how much you get, it's your money, you're entitled to it. Pension, that's where the VA says, we need to see how much money you're bringing in. So aid and attendance. Veteran requires the aid of another person to perform activities of daily living. So there's an actual application we have to send in. The primary care physician has to fill this out and verify that the veteran is in need of aid and attendance. Once that is approved, that veteran would qualify for that higher level. So a veteran by himself, with aid and attendance verified, their income goes all the way up to $22,577. So that's a big jump. So if you get a veteran who is elderly and needs assistance with another, we get the doctor and say, yeah, this veteran needs help. That $22,000, that's a big jump. That'll actually help them out. Housebound veteran is another one. The doctor has to verify that they're confined to the immediate residence, unable to kind of leave their home. And I was trying to upload this. Kim, I'll send you this with the actual sheet on there. Kind of explain it. I was trying to explain it up there. It's very kind of weird to look at it, but once you see it, it'll make sense. And same thing, the next one I want to cover is survivor's pension. So not only is the veteran entitled to a pension as long as they serve in a time of war, but the spouse would be entitled to pension as well. Same requirements, they have to meet that income need. Veteran has to serve in a time of war, 90 days after duty service. The only thing is, I always tell veterans and surviving spouses, they cannot remarry with survivor's pension. So let's say their husband passed away and they remarried, the VA will automatically cut that benefit off because they're no longer in need of that. With DIC, that's another one. The veteran, a spouse, they will cut it off. It's only after the age of 57, I want to make sure. Yes, after 57. So after 57 and you're getting DIC, the VA says that's fine, you can remarry. But with pension, as soon as you get remarried, the benefit is cut. So. And any questions? I know I covered a lot. I could go into more detail. Yes.
So, okay, so aid and attendance is a pension, part of the pension program.
It's actually part of the pension and service connection.
Okay,
You can get additional money if you're service connected and still need assistance. They call it special monthly compensation, but it is part of the pension program.
okay, so it's income based
Yes.
also. So, but it's for people who need help with their activities of daily
Right.
living.
Mhm.
So how is it different than the home health aid for 20 hours?
So the home health aid is through the veteran hospital.
Okay,
This pension program is through the Veteran Benefit Administration. So that's why I tell veterans, just because one branch of the VA says you don't qualify, doesn't mean the other branch
Right.
doesn't say you qualify.
So-
You can use advantage of both.
Yeah.
I had plenty of veterans who use the veteran home health aid, the hospital home health
they're
aid,
also getting,
and they're also getting pension and the aid and attendance and the additional, what they call special monthly pension.
So how does a person qualify for a home health aid through the hospital?
To the hospital. So they have to meet with their doctor. They have to be eligible for VA healthcare
Yeah.
at the hospital. The doctor has to say, yes, there is a need. I will put in a consult with the social worker so they can get the ball rolling on getting that set up.
Mhm.
So, and they're usually pretty quick. I know at the hospital I worked at, we usually had, within 2 weeks, there was a contact like, hey, here's the list of approved home health agencies. You know, who would you like to come to the house? Yeah. So yeah, I know I spoke really fast and it all blends in. Trust me.
Right.
That's why like I'm here because there's so much, and I could have gone into more detail, but I didn't want to go into it because it can be overburdening. But yes, so I explained to your veterans or family members. Have you talked to the VHA, the Veterans Hospital? Have you talked to the Veteran Benefit Administration? Because you can take advantage of both, obviously.
Mhm.
So, and that's why I encourage veterans. If you're not connected with the VA hospital, that's one benefit right there. The home health aid, 20 hours a week. You know, it's
Right.
free money. That's money that your spouse still has to spend, your daughter, your son, you know, whoever's helping you. That's money they don't have to spend. It's 20 hours, and those 20 hours help that caregiver kind of
Right.
go take care of what they need to take care of. So, yes.
So as long as somebody's 0% service connected, they can be eligible
For
for
the
the home
VA.
health care aid.
For the home, so yes, they're service connected,
Okay.
0%. VA hospital says, okay, we'll take you in. You got to meet that guidelines though. So this
Okay.
goes back to those priority groups.
Gotcha.
Let me go back to it real quick. So 0% will get you priority group 6. Yep. So compensated 0% veterans. So there may be a copay in like any type of other care, but that home health program, home health aid, is related to the VA, so you would be good. As long as you can get services at the VA, you're going to qualify.
Yeah.
So that's the important thing. As long as you can get services at the VA hospital, you're going to qualify. And the first thing you have to do is apply. You got to apply. The form is a 1010 easy. I can help veterans apply. The best thing to do is take that form and take it to the VA hospital in Durham and apply in person. They'll tell you right there and then if you qualify. If a veteran is unable to go there or the family member is unable to go with the veteran, encourage it. You can send it through the mail and they'll let you know and say, hey, you're approved. You know, we'll set you up an appointment. But once you get approved that day, they'll put you into what they call the PAC teams, Patient Allied Care Team. Yes, Patient Allied Care Teams. And then you'll meet with your primary care doctor, and from there they have like specialists. But it's great. It's a great. You have your PCP, social worker, nurses, all in that care team. Yes.
So if somebody was a Vietnam era veteran,
Yes.
are they automatically group 6 or
Nope.
because of service connection, they
Yes.
could even be a higher group?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the issue I find with veterans who are the Vietnam era, and for good reason, they don't trust the VA. At the time, you know, they weren't very kind to them. The government wasn't very kind to them, so now they kind of have a distrust of the VA. A lot of veterans, unfortunately, pass away due to their service connection time in Vietnam, but that doesn't disqualify the spouse. The spouse, yes, the spouse would still be eligible to apply for DIC, showing that the veteran was boots on the ground in Vietnam, their job exposed them to Agent Orange, and they died of an Agent Orange related disease. They would still qualify for that DIC. Just because the veteran passed away doesn't mean that benefit would be cut off. So that's a good thing because I know I deal with some spouses like, yeah, my husband passed away in 2000, and at the time heart disease wasn't a presumptive condition. It is now. So they're reapplying now, and they're getting granted for that. So, but yeah, that's what I tell any veteran, if you were in Vietnam, boots on the ground in Vietnam, we need to meet because you more likely were exposed to Agent Orange. And we need to get you taken care of. Because if not for you, for your spouse, because whenever you do pass away, your spouse will be taken care of. So, and like I said, it's right now for DIC, $1,319 a month, tax free. That'll help. So that'll help a lot. Any other questions? Yes.
I'm curious about the National Cemetery Administration.
Yeah.
Do you have to, can you speak more to that? Because I
Yeah.
think that's the one that I feel like I haven't heard very much about it.
No, it's a good question. So honestly, a lot of veterans and VSOs, rarely have any communication with it, because the funeral homes do a really good job of kind of addressing this.
Okay.
There are some where they don't have experience and they come to us, the VSO, to kind of get help. We would help them get a burial allowance. If they died because of service-connected disability, they would be entitled to a lot more than they would be if they didn't. If they didn't pass away from a service connection disability, I don't know the number, I want to say it's like $200 or some dollars they would get. So it's not a lot, but it is something. But if they did pass away with a service connection, it's over $1,000 they would be entitled to. The headstones, I've helped a lot of family members apply to get headstones delivered, or medallions. They have their own, their loved one was cremated, and they just want to have a medallion next to their, their ashes. So that's a good one. I usually meet with veterans or spouses to kind of get those approved. The military funeral honors, the funeral home's supposed to do that. If they don't, they can contact me, and I would contact the branch of service, and they would set that up. If a veteran who retired, if they pass away, they get full military honors. So, the whole 21 gun salute, the whole. If they didn't retire, they would still be entitled to military honors, but it just wouldn't be the whole crew. It would just be a 3-man team. So, but everything else, they would still be entitled to the American flag. The VA is pretty good about doing that. Another thing, if a veteran passes away at the VA, they are entitled to a lot more than they were if they passed away in a private hospital or at home. Yes, it's one of those little caveats that the NCA has to follow. If they were in the possession or in the transportation to another hospital, but the VA had control, they would be entitled. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
Just in the past week in a different setting, and I can't bring it all back, an individual told me that their spouse or a relative had been informed that they were a veteran of the Cold War. And that was the first time I had heard that reference, and obviously we lived with the culture, the political history of what the Cold War was. I didn't know if there was actually a military priority designation for individuals who served during what has been characterized as Cold War years.
The Cold War. So the VA acknowledges it was a Cold War era. They don't consider it a wartime period. So any veteran who didn't serve in either World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and obviously the current Gulf War, Gulf War in the 90s and the current conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq, they would not be considered wartime veterans. So that's that. The only time where that wartime comes into effect is pension. If you were still injured during the Cold War, let's say you were moving some boxes and it dropped on your foot and broke your foot or something happened, you're still entitled to that service connection because it happened when you were in duty. So the only thing that it comes into play is the pension. And again, that pension is such a small percentage of veterans are eligible for it anyway. So please don't get hung up just because you didn't serve in a wartime period. That's not your fault, but unfortunately the VA says you're not entitled to the pension program. But yes, yep. So I didn't cover anything about retirement, just because that's this whole long little thing. If you get retirement, if you're retired and you start getting service connection, the VA will actually take part of your retirement away. But, because they consider double dipping. But here's the thing. They take that percentage away from your retirement and move it to disability. That disability is tax-free. Retirement isn't tax-free. So that's what I tell veterans when they come in, they're like, hey, I got someone told me I applied, now they're going to take away my retirement. Yes, they're going to do that, but that's because they're considering double dipping, and now it's tax-free though, so that's a good thing. And if we get you 50% or more, they're not going to take it away. So if you get service connected 50% or more, they'll let you keep your retirement and give you the service connection disability. Yeah, I had a veteran, he was 30%, 20%? No, he was 20%. I got him increased to 50%. He got a letter saying that they were going to stop taking away his retirement. He was going to get his full retirement, plus the increased amount of disability. So he was very happy. He was, made this day when I told him that. So yeah, there's so many things with the veteran benefits, and That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
If I don't know, I will call my contacts at the state office and say, hey, have you ever heard about this? One of the guys I work with, he's been doing it for 30 years, and if I never hear about it, I call him, he's like, oh yeah, that does happen. Sometimes you just never know with the VA. It can be very complicated, but
Yeah.
that's why they got us. So.
It seems like it could be like it's very individual
Yes.
for every person.
Yes, thank you for saying that, because I do explain that to veterans. They go to the VA hospital. Well, I talked to, Joe Schmo, and he said he got
Right.
50% for PTSD, and I only got 30%. Well, just because he got 50% doesn't mean you automatically qualify for that
Right.
50% threshold. It's very individually based. It's good that you talk to them, but just kind of keep it in perspective. You may not have what they're going through physically or mentally, or they might have just got a rater at the VA, the Veteran Benefit Administration, who said, hey, this person, yeah, they qualify for 50%. And you may have gotten a rater who said, nah, I'm going to go right by the book, and you don't have this, so I can't give you that 50%. So, and then there's ways to kind of appeal that. If you feel like you're entitled to a higher service connection percentage, we'll meet. And I'll always advise them, hey, yeah, it seems like you do have a case, let's appeal it and see if we can get that raised. So, for my own thing, when I got out of the military, I got service connected really low. Took me 3 years, and I finally got what I should have been.
Yeah.
So I tell veterans, don't get discouraged. Okay, you may have just had a bad rater. You may not have enough evidence that you included. If you can include the evidence, that's over half the battle. I tell veterans, if you have all your evidence in an order, let's just say you never went to a doctor, you never complained about anything, that evidence isn't going to help you out. So we need to see what's going on right now to help you out. Because at the time in service, you never went to go see the doctor. So let's see what you're doing now to kind of say, hey, I never went to the doctor when I was in the military, but now I am, and here's what's going on. And there's forms we can submit to have a doctor fill out as well. And that helps a lot too. So yeah. Any other questions? I know I've been talking for a while. Thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you so
Yeah, thank you.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with the county and
Yeah,
helping our
absolutely.
veterans.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll give you all my business cards. If anytime you have a question, or shoot me an email, call me. I got a cell phone now because I'm traveling to different offices. So I don't mind. It may take me like a day or two to call you back. But I promise I will always call you back. I will. So, but yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks Randy. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Bradley.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
All right.
Take care.
We paid our dues all those years, and it's so nice to be switching gears. It's a grand new century, and it's the senior life, the senior life, the senior life for me.